All right, let's just jump right into this. Today, we're going to walk through a hypothetical, but honestly, a frighteningly plausible scenario, a full-scale war between Iran and a US-Israel alliance. And look, this isn't just some random made-up story. It's a narrative that's been pieced together from expert analysis of the tensions we're all seeing right now, and it paints a pretty stark picture of a crisis that could explode in the very near future. For me, this one is incredibly personal. I've broken down a lot of conflicts in these explainers, but this just hits different. I was literally in Dubai with my family just a little while ago, and the events we're about to talk about, they supposedly kick off just hours after we left, turning a place we were just in into a war zone. So picture this. Imagine you're waking up in Dubai. You think it's just another beautiful morning in one of the most futuristic cities on Earth. But then, in a blink of an eye, everything, and I mean everything, changes. All of a sudden, reports of explosions start flooding in. There's a fire raging near the Fairmont Palm Hotel. You see these massive, thick plumes of black smoke just billowing out from Dubai International Airport. Then videos start popping up online. You can see air defenses lighting up the sky, trying to shoot down drones right near the Burj Khalifa. Flaming pieces of intercepted missiles are literally raining down on the famous Burj Al Arab Hotel. And within hours, it's total chaos. All flights are canceled, the airport is being completely evacuated. And for us, this wasn't just some news story we were watching from a distance. Some of our family had flights just a few hours after we left. Their planes, of course, were canceled. They were stuck, stranded at the airport with absolutely no idea when they were going to get out or how. This hypothetical war just became very, very real. But amidst all that panic, there was actually a bit of good news. The UAE's air defense systems, they performed incredibly well. Official reports said that out of 1,137 missiles and drones that Iran launched, a truly staggering 132 were shot down. That just shows you the power of these systems. Like the American THAAD and Patriot batteries, they basically threw up a protective shield over the city and honestly prevented a much, much worse catastrophe. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. Why? What could possibly trigger such a massive, coordinated attack? What is the reason behind all of this chaos? Well, the answer is that Iran's attack on Dubai and other places, that wasn't the first move in this chess game. It was retaliation. The conflict actually started with a huge preemptive strike on Iran. The United States and Israel had launched a joint, full-scale military attack against Iran. The codename for it was Operation Epic Fury, and this wasn't just one quick strike. No, this was a multi-day campaign designed to, as one U.S. official apparently put it, destroy their missile industry to the ground. But the single most shocking piece of news, the one that changed everything, was confirmed by Iran's own state television. The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, had been killed in a direct strike on his compound. Khamenei was Iran's highest political and religious leader for over 30 years. His death is a seismic event, and the strike itself was chillingly precise. It didn't just kill him, it also killed his daughter, his son-in-law, and his granddaughter, who were all with him. This wasn't an accident, it was a clear message. They were trying to cut the head off the snake. Now, you just knew a strike of that magnitude was going to trigger a response. And Iran's retaliation was swift, it was widespread, and it was ferocious. The whole region was about to go up in flames. Iran launched what it called Operation True Promise 4. And this wasn't just aimed at Israel. It was a massive wave of missiles and drones targeting countries all across the Gulf that host American military bases. So the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. And here's the crucial part. They didn't just hit military targets, though they did score a direct hit on the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. They also hit civilian areas, places like five-star hotels and international airports. The sheer scale of this military response was just staggering. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, claimed it had launched attacks on 27 separate American military bases across the entire region. The message couldn't have been clearer. No U.S. presence was going to be safe. So, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this is terrible, but it's a conflict far away. But the truth is, the fallout from a war like this in the Gulf would have immediate and really severe consequences for a country like India. Let's break down exactly why this matters so much to us. First and foremost, you have to think about the people. There are over 10 million Indians, that's more than 1 crore, living and working in these Gulf countries.
These aren't just statistics, these are our friends, our family members. And on top of that, you've got over 18,000 Indian students in Israel. Every single one of them is now directly in the line of fire.
Then there's the economic bomb. This is what experts call India's nightmare scenario. Think about this. Over half of India's crude oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz, this tiny little waterway that Iran basically controls. If Iran shuts that down, our oil supply gets choked off. The immediate result? Petrol prices would just go through the roof, which would drive up inflation on everything else. The entire economy would be in trouble, and the rupee would be under massive pressure.
So, how on earth did we get here? How does this situation spiral out of control so quickly and so violently? To understand that, we need to rewind the clock just a little bit. In that first wave of attacks on Iran, one of the most heartbreaking reports came out of a city called Minab. A bomb was dropped on a girls' primary school. It was during the day, the classrooms were full, at least 100 children were killed. And then, this is the part that is just so jarring. Shortly after the news broke about the school bombing, this message was posted from Israel's official social media account, "Israel has the right to defend itself," a statement of defense right after a preemptive strike that killed 100 school children. You know, this didn't just happen in a vacuum. The whole thing really kicked off in late 2025, when Iran's economy completely collapsed, leading to these huge protests that the government crushed violently. Then in January 2026, then President Trump tweets, "Help is on the way," which everyone took as a hint that the US might get involved. But then, things seem to be calming down. On February 27th, we hear that a peace deal, worked out by Oman, is within reach. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. And then, unbelievably, just 24 hours later, the bombs start falling. When you look at the justification for this whole hypothetical war, it really makes you ask a very old and a very important question about this idea of foreign intervention. Here's the thing. It all sounds so familiar, doesn't it? I mean, look at the language used to justify this attack on Iran, and then look at the reasons we were given for the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The script is almost identical. Remove a brutal dictator, bring freedom and democracy, liberate the people. It's the same playbook. But history has given us a very clear and very painful warning. When dictators like Saddam Hussein in Iraq or Muammar Gaddafi in Libya were removed, it didn't lead to stable democracies, not even close. It led to the complete collapse of the state, brutal civil wars, the rise of terrorist groups like ISIS, and in Libya, they literally had open-air slave markets. For the average person just trying to live their life, things became immeasurably worse. And really, that's the ultimate question we're left with. The goal of removing a terrible dictator might sound noble on the surface, but does an intervention by a foreign power ever truly lead to peace and stability? Or does it just shatter a country to pieces, trapping its people in a new and often even more vicious cycle of violence? It's something worth thinking about long after this is over.